Imagine a law-abiding gun owner using his or her own firearm in self-defense at home. When the police show up, instead of respect, they start grilling them with questions. The homeowner, aware of their rights, tries to invoke their Miranda rights, but get this, the officers laugh it off, claiming it's too early for rights, and they keep hammering away with their questions. In this video, we're tearing into a shocking legal case from Texas that's turned the right to remain silent on its head, especially for gun owners who've had to act in self-defense. There's a big red flag waving over the erosion of our constitutional rights, a disturbing trend that threatens every gun owner across the country. We are going to unpack the dirty details of this ruling, its dangerous implications, and arm you with the knowledge you need to fight back and ensure your rights are ironclad. Let's get started. In the 1960s, a landmark Supreme Court decision would reshape the landscape of American justice. The case was Miranda versus Arizona, the pivotal moment that birthed the Miranda Rights, echoing through police stations and courtrooms ever since. This wasn't just a minor tweak to police procedures. It was a seismic shift meant to safeguard the very essence of liberty, the protection against self-incrimination. Ernesto Miranda already had a pretty sketchy background before he became a household name. Before he got arrested in 1963 for that notorious case, he wasn't exactly a stranger to the police. He'd been in trouble before for stuff like robbery and a bunch of other smaller crimes. At the time they picked him up for the kidnapping and rape that ended up going to the Supreme Court, Miranda was already well acquainted with the inside of a police station. His rap sheet had a list of different offenses, showing he'd been tangling with the law for a while. He was no newbie to run-ins with the cops, which kind of sets the stage for why his rights were so easily overlooked during his infamous interrogation. What ultimately happened was that he found himself convicted based on his own confession, one obtained without any awareness of his rights. He got pinched for kidnapping and rape. Then he spilled the beans to the cops without knowing he could keep quiet or ask for a lawyer. His original trial didn't go so well for him, and he ended up with a hefty sentence based on his own confession, which was 20 to 30 years. So his lawyer took his case all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And guess what? The Supreme Court sided with Miranda, saying the police messed up by not telling him about his rights. So they tossed out his confession and sent the case back for a do-over, this time without using the tainted confession. When he was retried, the prosecutor brought in new evidence and some testimony from a former live-in girlfriend who said Miranda had confessed to her too. Long story short, Miranda was convicted again, even without the original confession in play. From then on, the police across the country had to start telling everyone about their rights, the right to remain silent and the right to a lawyer if they couldn't afford one. It was all because nobody wanted another mess like Miranda's case. It changed everything. Everyone caught by the police was told what they could and couldn't say. It wasn't about protecting the suspects per se. It was about keeping the conviction solid without any legal backfires against the prosecutors. But the significance of Miranda rights stretches beyond just protecting the guilty or avoiding legal backfires. It's also a fundamental safeguard for all Americans, ensuring that the police do not overstep their bounds and that justice isn't just a game of who can force out the most confessions. These rights are a cornerstone of procedural justice, embodying the principle that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. The simplicity with which these rights could be invoked used to be one of their strongest features. Traditionally, any detainee could pull up this shield just by uttering a few key phrases. "I wish to remain silent," or "I want an attorney." That was supposed to stop the interrogation in its tracks, no questions asked. The clarity of this process wasn't just good for suspects, It was a clear line in the sand for law enforcement as well. But what happens when this clear line starts to blur? Consider a fellow gun owner, the quintessential defender of home and hearth, who finds himself in a high-stress encounter that ends with law enforcement on their doorstep. In the heat of the moment, invoking one's Miranda rights should be a straightforward safeguard, a quick invocation of constitutional protections. Sadly, new legal interpretations are now muddying the waters. What used to be straightforward is now fraught with legal pitfalls, where the timing and context of invoking your Miranda rights are dissected with a fine-tooth comb. You might think you're doing everything right, only to find out that the rules have changed mid-game. This shift is more than just a procedural headache, and every gun owner should be alarmed. The right to defend oneself doesn't stop at the use of a firearm. It extends into the interrogation room, where a single misstep in invoking your rights could expose you to unexpected legal jeopardy. In Texas, a big legal battle has shaken things up. State versus Johnson. In that case, the missing child, referred to as Junior, was living under the guardianship of the girlfriend of the defendant, Johnson. Johnson himself was intricately involved, as he resided with the child and the guardian. During the investigation, key interactions involved Detective Angela Hernandez and other officers who questioned Johnson about the disappearance. The controversy over Johnson's invocation of his Miranda rights arose when Johnson said, "I need to talk to a lawyer," at a time when he wasn't being directly interrogated, which led the court to determine that his rights hadn't been violated when police later questioned him after giving the Miranda warnings. The court ruled that Miranda rights can't be called on prematurely. They only apply once you're actually being grilled by the cops in custody. This throws a new wrench in how and when you can assert these rights. For anyone, especially Texans who pack heat, this means you've got to know not just your rights, but the right time to claim them. If you play your rights card too soon, it's like you didn't play it at all. This shifts the landscape significantly for gun owners. Picture being in a self-defense situation that escalates to a police interrogation. If you declare your right to remain silent or to an attorney too early, it might be ignored, leaving you vulnerable and at risk of self-incrimination. Knowing when to assert these rights is now as crucial as knowing the rights themselves to ensure you're fully protected under the law. The implications are worrisome, especially for us gun owners. Being able to assert Miranda rights correctly isn't just some legal mumbo-jumbo. It's a crucial part of defending yourself if you ever have to use your gun in self-defense. The timing of when you can assert these rights might confuse most folks, and getting it wrong could seriously mess up your case. Now, the real kicker is wondering how many gun owners who might not get all the legal jargon will end up unprotected because they called on their rights too soon or at the wrong time. This decision from Texas shakes up more than just when to say you want a lawyer. It changes the whole game of legal defense. Now every gun owner needs to not only know their rights, but also exactly when these rights kick in to protect them. The stakes couldn't be higher. Get this wrong, and there's no do-over. In states where folks really stand by their gun rights, this could crank up tensions big time. Gun owners might feel like they're walking on thin ice, worried that one wrong move in a high-pressure moment could leave them exposed. This unease could really ramp up worries about the law reaching too far, messing with how safe and secure gun owners feel when dealing with the cops. This ruling might really shake people's trust in the justice system. If folks start feeling like their rights don't matter, they might not want to help out the police when it counts. This kind of distrust can mess up not just individual cases, but also the whole relationship between communities and law enforcement. The debate is also heating up among those who stick up for the Second Amendment. This ruling throws another wrench into the discussion. pushing for clearer laws about when you can claim your Miranda rights. For gun owners, this is a big deal. When using a gun in self-defense, being able to say you want a lawyer right away is crucial. But now, with this new rule, if you jump the gun on your rights, you might accidentally incriminate yourself. This makes every interaction with the law even trickier for responsible gun owners. Also, when folks think their rights can just be ignored over something as small as timing, they might not be so willing to work with the police. This kind of mistrust can make neighborhoods less safe because people might be scared to call for help, worried that their rights won't be respected. It also makes the justice system look unpredictable and unfair. For people who support the Second Amendment, this might feel like just another case of the courts going too far, stirring up more debate about gun rights and legal rules. This whole issue could even push politicians to make new laws, trying to clear up any confusion the courts have caused. For gun owners, this isn't just about legal technicalities. It's about making sure they can defend themselves properly in a world where their rights are clear and respected. With legal interpretations varying by state, it's important for us gun owners to stay on top of changes to Miranda rights. This means keeping up with legal updates, attending workshops, and tuning into discussions led by legal advocacy groups. Being well-informed helps you handle interactions with law enforcement and manage your rights effectively. Additionally, there's a bigger fight for legal clarity that ensures solid protection of Miranda and Second Amendment rights. Supporting legal reform efforts, participating in public debates, and voting for the right representatives can make a huge difference. Together, these efforts can help clarify and enforce the laws protecting our rights. Building a community of educated, proactive Second Amendment defenders can really boost our efforts to protect our rights. By sharing what we know, pooling resources, and coming up with smart strategies, the Pro2A community can beef up its defenses against legal overreaches. Promoting legal smarts among ourselves not only gets us ready to stand up for our rights, but also strengthens our push for big changes in the system. Navigating the legal world demands sharp vigilance and active protection of our rights. Every court decision, legislative session, and public debate plays a part in shaping how freely we can exercise our rights. Armed with the right knowledge and a solid team effort, we can keep our rights from getting nibbled away by misunderstandings or neglect. Our work doesn't just stop with knowing and defending our rights. It stretches into understanding and interacting with the legal system itself. Looking ahead, we need to stay sharp about how tech and new legal ideas could change the way we protect our rights in a digital age. And that's all we have for you in this video. Remember, the heart of the issue. Knowing when you can assert these rights is now as crucial as knowing the rights themselves. If you play your rights card too soon, it's like you didn't play it at all, leaving you unprotected when you most need it. Got thoughts on this? Drop a comment below and share your experiences or opinions. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this video to spread the word, subscribe for more insights, and ring that bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Your voice matters. Let's make sure it's heard loud and clear.